About 5 or 6 years ago, I was playing Minecraft with a few of my friends when I suddenly wondered, how do you actually make a game? It was this question that led me to recently decide that I wanted to have a go at creating a game too, with a couple of other people. I noticed that some of my favourite games, like Sea of Thieves, used Unreal Engine, and a lot more too, so I thought that it would be the right way to go. So I installed Unreal Engine, opened it up, watched a couple of tutorials, and within a few hours I had created this short scene. And I thought, that wasn't too bad, and we've all been playing games for years, so surely actually making one can't be that hard, right? Right? Well, I started researching and eventually found out that making games is much more difficult than I thought, because I hadn't taken into account the actual art style and assets of the game, the masses of code, the music, the sounds, and everything else that makes a good game. But that hasn't stopped us from making a start. At the moment, we have an idea about what we want the game to be. It'll be a steampunk-style story game where the towns are held up by steel pillars with a desert underneath. And I know what you're thinking. But Sam, doesn't that sound exactly like any other story game out there? Like Red Dead Redemption? And to that I say, yes. Yes, it does for the moment. We know that it needs to be different somehow, and we're working on a way that it can be done. But in the meantime, the other two will be doing most of the art and story for the game, and I'm going to be doing most of the coding, because my art skills are, questionable. With the others being helpful making the story and the assets, I decided that I needed to make myself useful and do some stuff to help. And so I thought, why not start where all things start? The door. Anyway, they're going to be used all over the game, so why not start now? The first step in making a working door is... What? Making a door? Well, I probably should have expected that. Because some of my previous work on Blender could be considered... what's the word? Horrifying. I decided just to go with something simple. Hang on a minute. How tall is a door? Oh, okay. About 2 meters. And there you have it. A door. I know what you're thinking. That's probably the worst door you've ever seen. But don't worry, this is just a placeholder until my friend makes a door that actually fits in with the style of the game. If you haven't seen his last video, he goes over actually making some of the assets, and you'll find out pretty soon that he's much better at this than I am. Coding the door. The fun part. I like to think that I'm fairly good at coding. Okay, maybe we'll bump that down to fairly alright at coding. Anyway, the code actually runs without any errors now, and here's how it works. In this area up here, you create the area in which you can trigger the door, and down here it's just setting up, well, the door itself, and it's just setting a few variables here. And then as we go down, you can see that every tick, it's checking if the door is opening, like if it's in the middle of opening, and if it is, then it'll call the open door function and it'll pass in the delta time parameter. Ah, much better. All you need to know is that when I press the E button, then this happens. I know that there are easier ways of making doors, and there are hundreds of blueprint tutorials, but I decided that it would be easier for this project if they were made with C++. Now that we've made that C++ class, all I've got left to do is create the blueprint, load the mesh into it, and do some final touches like allowing the user to press a button to open the door. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope you'd consider subscribing so you can stay notified for the next video, where we should have some assets ready in the world to mess around with, and the game should start to look a little bit more like a game, I guess. Sorry this video was a little bit slow in places, and the next one should be a lot more fun, I think.